Welcome into the last training camp live show presented by Honda. I'm Caroline Hendershot alongside Eric Allen. This is the last one. I can't believe it. We are already at the end of Jets training camp with the final preseason game coming up this Friday night against the Eagles, 7:30 p.m. EA, can you believe that camp is already over?
Well, I'm really sad. We've transitioned back into the studio because the weather today, it's raining, so we're going to protect our equipment. But this is really my favorite time of year, getting back on the grass because, it's football season, and the Jets have had a great training camp here under Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, we just heard from Aaron Glenn and telling us that a good amount of the starters will not be playing on Friday night against the Eagles. He didn't name names, so we don't know exactly who won't be playing, but it is a good chance to see some of these guys who are trying to make that 53-man roster really give a performance for their last show and try and make an impression. Who do you have your eye on for Friday night?
I got my eye on a number of players. I mean, we were just talking to the assistant coaches downstairs before practice, and for a lot of these guys, it's not only a chance to make a final impression for the Jets, but it's a chance to make a final impression for all 32 teams in the National Football League. So you're going to see likely Adrian Martinez and Brady Cook get the bulk of snaps at the quarterback position, and that goes without saying. So if the Jets sit Justin Fields here, Tyrod Taylor, we know he's out of the lineup as well. So those are the guys getting the bulk of action at the quarterback position. And then receiver stands out to me because there's still a lot of competition going on there. We saw a lot of young players flash against the New York Giants. I want to see if they can carry that over. And finally, how about from a special teams perspective, who's going to step up there? The Jets, unfortunately, just had to put Chris Boyd on injured reserve, and he was a guy that we're going to count on here early in year one under Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, Chris Boyd going on to IR does mean that that special teams spot that he was probably going to hold opens up for a lot of those guys trying to make the roster and using special teams as their kind of gateway in. Someone else that we got to see on the field yesterday who Glenn talked about, not in that soundbite that we just heard from, but Jermaine Johnson, he was back on the field, and Glenn said, oh yeah, when I stepped on the field, all I said was, whoa, because you could see 11, and he was making a difference out there immediately.
Well, it was huge because all we heard last week was about the Giants' defensive front, and obviously those guys are impressive, but the Jets are going to have a hell of a front in their own right. Quinnen Williams, who missed some time early in camp with the calf injury, he was back on the field in the middle of that lineup, and then Will McDonald returned to practice as well. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson coming off the Achilles. He started camp on the PUP list. He was back out there. I love the complementary skill sets at the edge position when you're talking about the freaky athlete and Will McDonald, and then the power coming from Jermaine Johnson. And he was chomping at the bit to get back on the practice field.
Yeah, you can see him towards the back of the group on your screen here. And I'm honestly someone that I have my eye on is Jermaine Johnson, because I'm curious if he will take even a couple snaps just at full game speed just to kind of get those under his belt, as he has not taken any yet, and they still want him and are prepared for him to start week one. But Jets fans, make sure you're getting your New York Jets single game tickets now. Don't miss exciting matchups, division rivals, special giveaways, and more this season. Buy your tickets to cheer on the green and white at nyjets.com/tickets. Again, that's nyjets.com/tickets. Now, we have a special guest joining us on Training Camp Live presented by Honda. That's Greg Buttle. Greg Buttle, thank you so much for joining us.
With a capital S, special, right?
Yes, that's right, Butts.
That's awesome.
Greg, what have you thought of AG's first training camp as a head coach and kind of the new philosophy he's brought to the Jets?
Well, I think that what was really good was out of the box, I saw a disciplined football team that has a defensive, aggressive character to it. And I think that is big because it's hard to do that with a bunch of new guys and a bunch of new coaches, and then everyone's got to be on the same page. He did it. And I will tell you, that was the most impressive part about it. Then they go out there and they play pretty well. Preseason to me is negligible. It's about what do you do? Is it the little things that you're doing right? And once you start doing the little things right, the big things happen.
We're watching Justin Fields and his Jets teammates warm up here before the final training camp practice this summer. What have you made of Fields so far in just a glimpse of action in the preseason?
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into what I see in 4 or 5 plays. Yeah. I try to look at what has he done in the past. Well, at the Steelers, he was 4-2, and I will tell you something. He should have been 6-0. The Steelers gave up over 400 yards passing to the Cowboys in a loss that he played great. So he has played well, and I will tell you something. I think that's the biggest part. He has done it. Now he's going to do it with a new group of coaches. It's a get used to it type of a thing. The coach has got to say to him, all right, what does he do best? What does he do bad? And let's practice hard the little things that you don't do right. You know how it works, right?
Right. I think everyone wants to see those big flashy throws, the deep ball downfield to Garrett Wilson and a big touchdown. But yesterday on the podium, Justin Fields was saying, I don't care if I have to throw it 8-yard passes. I'm going to just get the play and move on, and we just move the chain down the field. That's all that it is. So what do you like about that kind of mentality of not needing those big flashy plays and more so just focused on getting the job done?
It's not that I like it or I don't like it, but what happens is, and this is, of course, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've heard Jet fans constantly, and it's all about in the back of their mind, well, if we're down by 10 points, how are we coming back? And so you don't come back by running the ball all the time. You come back by making some big plays, and you don't turn the ball over. That's the biggest thing. He could probably throw it downfield now, but why take the chance when it means nothing? Let me complete the story. Let me get an offensive persona first, and then we can always take a shot downfield.
You play your percentages. If the safeties are playing back and you have a hole underneath, you can take that. And also, I want to underscore something here that Tanner Angstrand, first-year offensive coordinator, he's not showing his best stuff in preseason action. You're not scheming for the Steelers, right?
No, and I will tell you something. There's times where you want to look. There's 2 philosophies. I'm gonna see what my team can do,
yep,
or I'm not going to show anything to anybody because I already know what they can do. And the question always is there about, well, this is a new coaching staff. Half the team is new. And so how do you gain that philosophy of, I know what you're doing? Right. Well, Fields doesn't know what his offensive line is doing all the time, but that's what he's got to work into. The offensive line's got to figure out what is he doing in the backfield. It really is a neat puzzle to put together, but that's why you pay Aaron Glenn. Let him do it.
Now, I want, from your perspective, who has been standing out to you in training camp and these first 2 preseason games? Maybe they're a starter, maybe they're not a starter, maybe they'll be playing on Friday, but who has been kind of impressing you in these first few weeks?
Well, I'm going to take 2 guys.
Okay.
I'm going to take 2 guys. Number one.
Yep.
I was absolutely excited to watch him in the first preseason game. Forget practice. First preseason game, out of the first 5 plays, he was in on 4 of them. And 4 were tackles, 1 was a pass defense. So I looked at a guy that everyone thought couldn't tackle anybody, now come up and making some plays. And I thought that was great. And I'm thinking, if he does that all year, the Jets defense is going to be very good because he can cover anybody. Mm-hmm. The other guy I was surprised at is Membo. I saw him. Listen, when you can block up and you can pass, but that's okay. But it's the offensive linemen that are on your rear end until the whistle blows. And that's what that kid was doing, and I saw him in the first game. Now, a second game, I didn't get much into it because we had an issue. But other than that, those are the things that I liked. I saw 2 guys. One was a rookie. The other one's 3-year player. Come on.
These young players, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, both got extensions before training camp. Neither of those guys are going to rest on their laurels. They want to come out here and be cornerstone pieces of this franchise and ultimately help Aaron Glenn turn this thing around.
Well, my point on that is always this. If you, as a professional, are going to rest on your laurels and you are not going to go out there and perform to the best of your ability every single play, get off the team. I don't need you. Right?
And these guys are great practice players, and that's what you want from your best players.
That's right. You work it every single day. And there's times where you don't work it, but there's times this is what you're doing and this is where you're going full speed. It's awesome.
So Friday is kind of the last show for a lot of these guys who are trying to make the 53-man roster. Are there any players that are in a position kind of fighting for that spot, whether it be wide receiver 2 or linebacker 3, fighting for their spot on the depth chart that you want to see not a big play from necessarily, but have a really solid performance?
Well, I always look at where is the thinness going to hurt you? And the thinness that will hurt you is along the defensive line, along the offensive line, and the defensive secondary. So you got to look at some of these kids that are coming back that, that haven't played that much. Maybe they were a free agent or they're rookies, and see how they come along, because they might be the important piece, not the starters. It's that little guy that didn't play, and he's intimidated, and he goes out there and he makes a play. Oh, next time he makes a play. Those are the guys that you go, that kid's got an opportunity. He can make the play. If he can make the play once, he can make it a lot of times.
Right.
Now, I can't pinpoint on who that guy is, but those are the type of players you're looking for.
Someone in that same vein that I think we heard from earlier from the coaches or the coordinators that spoke, Leonard Taylor. He was a really good player in this last couple preseason games, and he's starting to kind of really pick up speed on that defensive front. So.
Yeah, we've been looking at the defensive line rotation throughout camp, especially at defensive tackle. Who's going to be lining up next to Quinn Williams this season, because there was a lot of change in the offseason. The one veteran who popped early on against the Green Bay Packers, a stat-stuffing machine, was Jay Tufele.
You looked at – I sat there in the first game and go, who's Tufele? Who's this guy? But he didn't do it once.
No.
He did it a second time. He did it a third. Then he did it in the next game. I'm going, that's a keeper. I mean, he's a keeper. Now, I don't know where he's going to develop or how much better he can be. Is that the best I got out of the guy? I don't know. But that's a guy that you say, I got to pay attention to this guy. He's got a motor on him, and that's the best part.
Yeah, most definitely. Greg, thank you so much for joining us on set. We're going to send you out into the rain now, though.
No,
so you gotta go brave the elements, but we
awesome.
appreciate
Give that big bad linebacker an umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. Needs to protect himself from the rain. All right, Jets fans, Jets game day is better together. Bring a group of 6 or more to MetLife Stadium and take advantage of preferred pricing, access to on-field experiences, and more. To book, visit nyjets.com/groups or call 973-549-4590. Again, that's 973-549-4590. Now, before we welcome on our next special guest, I have a quick disclaimer, EA. For the Friday night game, who do you have, because we know starters aren't playing, who do you have circled as someone that you want to see? Same kind of question I just gave to Greg. Who do you want to see a big performance out of?
We talked about this a little bit yesterday, is that Arian Smith, we just talked to Tanner Engstrand downstairs, and he said, I love this kid's speed, and he's doing everything what we've asked him to do so far, and he continues to develop. He flashed out there yesterday, and as Quincy Anuna joins us right now, is that's a guy that he's been talking up, the former receiver himself. So, Q, why do you, since you're here with us right now, I think that's a perfect transition to talk about number 82.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching him because I think he's one of those guys that when you talk about a speed guy, they're usually not really good at running routes, right? They don't have a control of their body, so the routes are a little bit sloppy. They're kind of all over the place. And one thing I like watching him is that he still has a lot of control over the speed, right? So we got to see him in the first game run past guys, right? So I think now when he has that ability, but also the ability to run routes, get open, run slants. We saw the in routes in game 2, right? So that's encouraging. He obviously has the drops, but he's a young guy. So you don't want to get too down on a guy like that because you know that's something you can coach out of him.
Yeah, and I was talking to wide receiver coach Sean Jay before this, and he mentioned Arian Smith and how he's doing everything that they ask him to do. He's really focusing on using that speed as his superpower, and he likes how he can control it, because what you were just saying, Q, is that's sometimes the hard part as a rookie, and he's mastering that, is what Sean Jay said. So anyone else that you have wanting to see a big performance out of on Friday night against the Eagles, because this is kind of the final show for these guys trying to make the 53-man roster?
Right. That's a good question. I mean, Arian Smith obviously is my number one guy, but after that, I think it would probably be some guys on the defensive side, right? I think there's a lot of spots there, safety-wise. Malachi Moore is a guy.
I agree.
Right. We've got to see him. I like that he's not afraid to get in the commotion with the line, right? And that's something you have to do in this defense. I'm seeing it a lot. Cisco's down there. Tony Adams is down there. So I want to watch him kind of get dirty down there. Stiggers had a game last week. He had some up and down moments, but I wouldn't mind watching him again. JBC is a guy that's been drafted by the Jets that we haven't seen a lot of. So there's a few names. Whether or not they're going to make the team, I just want to see them put something on the.
You're bringing up some great names right now because Stiggers is a guy who figures to give you cornerback depth, but also what can he provide on special teams. And so far, this exhibition season, he's been really strong on special teams. And we started this show talking about, hey, Chris Boyd is on injured reserve. So who's going to fill those roles at the gunner position? And then Kene Nwanwu last week had a tremendous kickoff return to start the game, and then he made a hell of a play to keep the ball from going inside the end zone, and the Jets made the Giants start a drive inside the 10-yard line. And then we get back to the quarterback position because, again, the Jets are hopeful Tyrod Taylor is back for week 1, but this is Adrian Martinez and Brady Cook's final opportunity out there.
Yeah, and definitely both of them kind of duking it out for that third position that might be second if Tyrod Taylor doesn't make it back in time for week 1. Yeah. But more importantly, before training camp started, we all made some predictions on what we thought would be some superlatives for camp. That included some breakout candidates and maybe the play of camp and surprise visitors. So we're going back to the make your case aspect of what we did in training camp predictions. And we all said, I'll tell you, breakout candidate. I said Justin Fields. Quincy said Quantez Stiggers. And EA said Mason Taylor.
Okay. All right.
We're going to see, who do you think? I think we all kind of were right in one way or another, but there does have to be a winner. So according to the back room, our breakout candidate of camp was actually Andrew Beck.
Okay.
Andrew Beck.
How do you feel about that, guys? And that's because of this play right here. Not your average fullback.
Yeah.
They liked that play out of him on social media.
Oh, man, that's somewhat of a surprise. And he did flash against the Packers as well, and fullbacks got to get some love, too.
I would say I would have picked Arian Smith if I would have watched it over and say I would have picked Arian Smith. But he did have a great first game, and he has been showing up. So, I'll take that.
And you know what? I'll give it to him, too, because the fullback position, they don't get love.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
A little bit of justice for the fullbacks there with them being the player of camp. Now, what about the play of camp? For me, I said it was going to be something Garrett Wilson did. Yeah. Quincy said it was going to be something between Sauce and Garrett. Yeah. And then EA said it would be a Justin Fields run. And according to the back room, EA won this one because the most impressions on social media was this play of Justin Fields moving at the joint practice with the Giants and a nice run play from him. So I guess we got to give that one to you.
Yeah. Hey, I give some applause in the back room there. Hey, listen, this is a sub 4.4 runner, and he's a big dude. In those RPO situations, you got to make a choice. It is a numbers advantage for the Jets. I can't wait to see number 7 in regular season play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen them kind of put in some wrinkles during training camp. I won't mention any of them because they want to keep them low-key. But, I'm excited to see what they put out in the season.
Yeah, and I think that's something Jets fans are very excited about, is having that mobile quarterback. So we got to see him a little bit in action this preseason, but it's time for the regular season to start so we can see it a little bit more regularly. Okay, and then for surprise visitors, I was really excited. I wanted Ice Spice to come out to camp. I know that I was wrong. But, you got to shoot for the stars sometimes. Yeah. Quincy said Jason Taylor, and EA said Jason Glenn. We were all wrong.
Right.
We were all wrong.
Right.
So none of us win this one. According to the back room, who do you think was our – well, they revealed it, James Ferrier.
Potsy Ferrier coming here.
Honestly, I think the best part was his outfit.
Yes.
the matching Hawaiian top and shorts. It was incredible.
So my big question in terms of James Ferrier, one of the best Steelers of all time, if he comes back week 1, what will he wear? Jets Steelers.
That's a really good question. And we were trying to convince him to come back for
Yes.
He might do a Kelsey mom thing, right?
the half jersey. All right, well, we did also have some headlines ahead of training camp that we all predicted. And Quincy, yours was first response.
Yeah?
How do you feel like you predicted training camp with your headline?
I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, honestly, right, it was a little vague, and so I gave myself a little bit of ambiguity so I could kind of say whatever I want to. Right? But let's be honest, right? I think they did have a good first response. This is a team that's pretty disciplined and pretty physical. That's kind of what they wanted to show, and so, yeah, that's the first response to the questions.
I liked it. Nice to give yourself some room there.
Yeah.
Now, EA, your headline was Young Jets get old school lessons at Camp Glen. How do you feel like your headline predicted?
I actually like that one. Can I say that? Because
if he does say so himself.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like the core principles of football. That's what it's been all about here. From the get, it's been tackling and blocking, being disciplined. I mean, and AG's been preaching to this squad that has 4 players who are north of 30, just for emotional maturity.
Yeah, and I think yours kind of really hit the nail on the head because he's been talking about those foundational aspects of football and how the game can change, but those same things of running, tackling, the physicality, they don't change. So I think yours was quite accurate. Mine was Buzz Builds in New York, underdogs are ready for takeoff.
Okay.
I think mine was a little ambiguous as well. I followed Quincy's suit. But I will say I actually think that there wasn't a lot of buzz in the sense of they blocked out that outside noise and they kept camp quiet, which I really appreciated. So I will take the L happily because I think they did it to their advantage. So I think that works out well for everyone. It's a win-win, I guess, in some sorts or another. Now, before we head out of here and we go brave the elements like Greg Buttle, what do you guys have for last thoughts, kind of summing up this training camp, this period right before we hit our final preseason game and the regular season starts under Aaron Glenn?
Q?
I would say that right now is your last response, right? It's your last opportunity to go out there and show what you can do. So I'm excited because I was a young guy at one point, right? I ended up not giving enough of a response and ended up on the practice squad. But, you know, that's not where your story ends. It's where it begins. So for a lot of these guys, it's their opportunity to go and show it, whether it be for the Jets or for any other team.
Caroline, I actually think you hit the nail on the head in terms of your headline because I don't think a lot of people outside this building are expecting a lot from the Jets this season. You're seeing some mock drafts out there. I saw a mock draft yesterday. It might have been Field Yates who had the Jets moving up in order to take a quarterback. With that being said, all that matters is the noise inside the building. And one thing that we continue to hear from Aaron Glenn is ignore the noise on the outside. And it's been a very business-like approach out here. And I think the Jets have a talented roster. And I think they can ultimately surprise some people. But they're going to win in different ways because this is a sound defense. You're going to have a continued emphasis on solid special teams play, and offensively they're going to play differently than any unit that we've ever seen here because yes, they're going to lean on the run like they did in 09 and 10 with a young offensive line and talented backs. But again, you've never seen a quarterback like Justin Fields, and how is he going to continue to develop? Because again, he's just 26 years old, and this is his third team in 3 years. So what Fields looks like in week 1, he's going to be looking a lot different by the time we get to the second half of the season.
Most definitely. And I think Greg Buttle did a really good job of kind of summarizing that while he was 4-2 with the Steelers last year, he could have been 6-0. So there's a lot of good feelings inside the building at One Jets Drive. We're going to go head out to practice, but this Friday, 7:30 p.m., the Jets are taking on the Eagles for the final preseason game at MetLife Stadium. Tune in to CBS and make sure your eyes are glued because you might be seeing some of those players that end up making the 53-man roster that comes out next Tuesday. So everyone, we will see you on Friday night from MetLife.